A couple of months ago, when Google released Gemini 3 preview, we mentioned that it was built on a much stronger pre-trained backbone, and that it had plenty of room to improve through post-training and future subversions. Now Google has leaked several new AI models through Arena, and they are possibly going to top every benchmark, just like the original Gemini 3 did. Google also just announced a new update to Gemini DeepThink, Google's specialized reasoning model for science, research, and engineering. The benchmarks are demonstrating a beast, almost 3,500 ELO on coding, which is way more than Claude Opus 4.6, the go-to programming model these days. 84% on Arc AGI 2, the benchmark that wasn't supposed to be beaten, at least for a couple of years. Although there are some issues with the model that we need to talk about later. I thought Gemini would for sure be the biggest part of this video, but man, Seedance 2.0. I always knew this moment would come. Logically, I was prepared for it, but it was never visceral like it is at the moment. Isomorphic Labs, spun out of Google DeepMind, has introduced IsoDDE, which doubles the accuracy of AlphaFold 3. This is a groundbreaking development in the process of drug discovery, and also the ultimate goal of simulating an entire cell. And finally, one of my favorite things in AI just happened. I've been waiting for this for so long that I even tried hiring engineers to build it myself. But thankfully, Google Kaggle just launched Game Arena, an environment where AI models finally move beyond benchmarks and actually compete head-to-head. And honestly, they've done an incredible job. Gemini 3 is expected to roll out a new version pretty soon, and we already have 4 or 5 variants of it being tested inside Arena. They are all very capable, and especially the Flash versions are surprisingly fast and intelligent. I'm not going to differentiate between the variants in this video, and we'll take a look at all examples, because at the end of the day, only the best variant is going to be released, so there is no point in pseudonames. AI isn't limited to conversation anymore. Today's agents can execute real workflows on your behalf. GenSpark is an all-in-one AI workplace, and they just rolled out AI Workplace 2.0. It hit $155 million annual run rate in just 10 months. Take a look at this. I asked GenSpark to build a web page that compacts an episode of the Huberman Lab podcast, something I can come back to and instantly catch the key points. It started by writing a plan using Gemini 3 Pro. Then I used AI Developer, and it visited YouTube to extract the transcription, generated a web page outline, and used the latest version of Claude Opus to write the functional code for the website. To make the page more visual, I then switched to AI Designer, prompting Nano Banana Pro to generate these rich infographics to replace some of the more text-heavy sections. I then took it a step further. GenSpark has just introduced AI Slides Creative Mode, powered by Nano Banana Pro. So I asked it to turn the episode into a creative story for kids. And since the episode was about ADHD, it introduced Captain Focus, the story of a young superhero who can't focus on boring stuff. And by the end, he manages to defeat the default mode network monster, a concept introduced by Dr. Huberman in the episode. The webpage and the creative story are built by orchestrating the best models in their specific domains. The wildest part, GenSpark is offering unlimited usage of the AI chat and AI image features for all of 2026. If you're a teacher or a student who needs to turn information into rich formats with grounded results, GenSpark is definitely worth checking out. Link in description, you can try it for free right now. Thanks to GenSpark for sponsoring this part of the video. We don't actually know if they are going to call it Gemini 3.5, some say 0.1, or maybe even just Gemini, dropping the preview. Although that would be a bad marketing move because it's both confusing and also doesn't feel like progress. But anyways, what matters is the capability, intelligence, and speed. In comparison to other models, the new Gemini is incredibly good at creating SVGs. Claude Opus 4.6 is literally taking the entire industry by storm, and the new Gemini is still so much better in creating SVGs. SVGs are basically code-based representations of objects in vector space. Unlike regular images, you can zoom in indefinitely and never lose quality, because everything is defined mathematically rather than by pixels. It's incredibly hard to generate complex objects this way. And that's why it has become a quick and easy way to compare model capability. It's so good that some people go as far as maybe DeepMind is specifically training for SVG generation, but I think it's mostly about multimodality. It seems like Gemini is really good at imagination, and although it might not necessarily be the best coding model, it is the best when it comes to visualizing stuff through code. By the way, if you are looking to access this model, you can use Design Arena or the Battle mode inside Arena, and you might get one of the variants in the comparison. When I say the new Gemini 3 is extremely good at visualization and imagination, I talk about something like this. This is a water simulation inside a glass container. And again, if you look at adoption rates in programming, Gemini doesn't seem to be the top coding model overall. But there is something interesting happening. Because it's natively multimodal, trained on images and videos as well as text, that visual grounding seems to translate into a better imagination of the final product. Gemini is designed as a broad multimodal intelligence system first, while OpenAI and Anthropic are currently pushing much more aggressively on coding as a competitive frontier. Here is the new Gemini 3 simulating an iOS device. And it is not only functional like the previous versions, but this one is oddly accurate with the design. The calculator looks exactly like the iPhone calculator. So does the Notes app. And this whole iPhone is a one-shot prompt, not an iteratively developed simulation. I would say the most impressive generation so far has been the Mac OS simulation. Although we've seen other models trying and creating fairly amazing ones as well, this simulation is by far the most complete replica I've seen. Almost every application is functional, or at least is a mock-up for future development. Like the messaging app can't work out of the box because it needs external services. But the mockup is there and it looks great. Local apps work perfectly fine and the animation is smooth throughout the entire app. Some parts of it are even unnecessary. The model has gone above and beyond to just make something jaw-dropping. It's so accurate that I did doubt for a second it might not be AI generated. But this is from Chetas Lua, which I've been following for months, and he does seem pretty legit, so you should check him out on X yourself. Rumors suggest the new Gemini 3 is 1 million tokens context. It is faster than most frontier models, and it is coming out this month, February of 2026. Now, the new Gemini DeepThink is a more specialized and apparently extremely expensive model. From what we know, it uses parallel thinking and consensus to reach the best answer, which is very expensive and is not meant for everyday use. Even in the article, DeepMind is targeting very high-end and extremely challenging but also rewarding problems. So customers might want to pay for this amount of compute. This is the same model that reached gold medal level performance on the International Math Olympiad. Highest recorded ArcAGI2, very close to beating the benchmark. Highest humanity's last exam rating of 48%, and the Codeforce ELO of about 3500, which is just unbelievable. In the demo, Gemini DeepThink turns a sketch into a 3D printable. DeepThink analyzes the drawing, builds the complex shape, and generates a file, so you can create the physical object with 3D printing. And there are a bunch of scientists and engineers testimonials about the model helping them with the real work. The model is only available to Gemini Ultra users for now, and even there it is limited use. Seedance 2.0 was a wake-up call for the entire world. I think this is the first AI video generator that even trained eyes and ears cannot tell this is AI. Most of the time I could tell, sometimes I could even guess which frontier model made it. But Seedance 2.0, for the first time, I'm not sure anymore. And that honestly scares me and excites me at the same time. It feels like we just crossed into uncharted territory. Part of me is actually grateful that Seedance happened now, because a lot of people had started to tune out the progress. The headlines blurred together and the benchmarks felt abstract. But when you watch these clips, you feel it in your gut. That's the feeling software engineers have been living with after the new Cloud Opus 4.6 and GPT 5.3. It's just been harder to show, and most people cannot see the advancements in it. And I have a feeling that by the end of this year, the rest of the knowledge workforce will start to feel it too. Take a look at this Game of Thrones / Rick and Morty clip from the Madvid Pro channel.
User Lil B testing it out. Rick and Morty and Game of Thrones. Tell me this doesn't remind you of early Sora 2, but actually better.
Behold Morty, the Iron Throne, now with 90% less boring feudalism and 100% more portal juice.
Rick, I don't think the locals are too happy about that.
Why is Beth just here? Absolutely insane though how clear the voice comes through. Look at the details. The art style is so spot on. It's freaking creepy.
The ones that are mixing styles like live actions are unfathomably good. and the commercials are all gonna be AI very soon.
Strength in every drop, shine that lasts.
By the way, if you really wanna try Seedance before it's officially released in the West and globally, you can visit byteplus.com and try it out. Honestly, there are millions of other examples on X, and I'm still surprised by every one of them. Isomorphic Labs, spun out of DeepMind's AlphaFold project, just announced another groundbreaking system moving beyond AlphaFold 3. AlphaFold was originally focused on predicting the 3D structure of individual proteins from their amino acid sequences. This was a huge breakthrough because a protein's shape determines how it functions in the body. Knowing these structures allows scientists to understand basic biology, how diseases develop, and why certain mutations cause problems. In many ways, this was the foundation. Without understanding the protein itself, it's impossible to predict how it will behave or interact with anything else. But the newer version, AlphaFold 3, goes a step further. It doesn't just tell us what a protein looks like, it predicts how proteins interact with other molecules, including small drug-like compounds, DNA, RNA, or other proteins. These interactions are critical because most medicines work by binding to a specific protein and altering its behavior. Now the new ISO drug design engine moves far beyond AlphaFold 3, doubling the accuracy of those binding predictions and especially enabling predictions in novel scenarios, the interactions that are most dissimilar to what the engine has seen during training. One of the most exciting things about IsoDDE is its ability to find hidden or completely new spots on proteins where drugs can attach. For example, scientists thought cereblon only had one place a drug could bind, and discovering new sites could take months of expensive lab experiments. IsoDDE predicted a new hidden pocket just from the protein sequence in a matter of seconds. Being able to computationally reveal these sites opens up entirely new ways to design medicine. This is another big milestone towards creating a digital cell that would ultimately give scientists the ability to cure almost every disease. Google Kaggle announced Game Arena a while back, and now it's up and running. The idea is simple, but very powerful. We can now test AI models' capabilities and intelligence by pitting them against each other inside an arena. Currently, there are 3 games available: Poker Heads Up, Werewolf, and Chess. Watching these models compete in the arena really shows how much smarter they have gotten compared to the previous generation, in a way that wasn't obvious inside the benchmarks. About a year ago, I made a demo werewolf game for myself, and it was a disaster. Most models would hallucinate other players' statements, lose track of the conversation, or even forget their role entirely. Now, the game is actually kind of fun to watch. The models are still not masters of social interaction or deception, for better or worse, but the gameplay is far more coherent and dynamic. Interestingly, Google's models are winning almost everything except poker. If you want to see the action for yourself, head over to Kaggle Game Arena. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.